So I wanted to make this video to share with you exactly what we should and should not be doing with regards to our money. And I wanted to make this video through the context of what I would tell my parents if they were watching my videos, and anyone else who's watching this video who's going through a tough time financially, because everyone in my family is going through a tough time. There's a very real possibility that we're about to enter a very bad recession. And if my parents were to watch my videos, which they don't, I'd be specifically proud of this one because I would tell them exactly how to protect their money, how to save it, how to invest it, and more importantly, exactly what steps to avoid during this crazy time. So step one, I would say, sell your soul. Step two, produce some money. Step three, maybe reconsider selling your soul because right now is a really bad time to sell. Let's begin. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh, and just recently I got news that my dad, who worked with the same company for over 20 years as a stagehand here on the Las Vegas Strip, was let go. My mom, who works in luxury sales, her store completely shut down and she was laid off as well. My girlfriend's dad, who works in maintenance for one of the hotel properties here in Las Vegas, was also let go. And my girlfriend, who works in events, was told not to come into work indefinitely. The only person who has a job in my entire household is my roommate Angelo, who works in marketing, and he was told not to come into work for over a month. And this makes sense because Las Vegas is a discretionary town, meaning you don't typically travel here when you want to save money. But Vegas is based on tourism. And there's one problem. This is what Las Vegas looks like right now. It's a ghost town, and if this hasn't yet affected you, that's really good news, but understand that the economy is like a line of dominoes or a fan of cards, and if one of those pieces is removed, the whole thing could potentially collapse and affect you if it hasn't already. Luckily, I'm a bum with cards on the floor, so makes no difference to me. But the worst part about this situation is that I'm stuck in a different country with no way to help, and I'm crossing my fingers that I can travel back and at least help my parents financially, but right now, it's difficult to worry about things like interest rates and oil prices and investor uncertainty and stock market crashes when people are losing their job and they don't have money. I know my parents don't care, and I think many people don't either, and maybe you watching this right now are thinking the same thing, because if you don't have money, the last thing you should be doing is worry about investing. Instead, this is what you should do. First step, if you were laid off, call and get unemployment. I'm gonna leave all the links in the description below this video with all the resources you can reference. But remember, this varies state to state, country to country, but no matter where you are in this world, there should be some sort of a benefit or a relief program that you can take advantage of. But at least here in the States, the first thing to do is to call and get your unemployment benefits. Just remember, the phone lines are jam-packed, everyone is super busy. This will take a while, so please be patient, but do not rely on the government for help. Now, you may have heard of a guy named Mnuchin, whose name looks like Munchkin. He's not actually a munchkin, he's an investment banker and a public official who's trying to pass a stimulus package that's gonna give everybody in the US $2,000 for each adult and $1,000 to each child, which is pretty awesome considering I never got $1,000 when I was a child. That would have been great, but also $2,000 is not that much money, and it's only gonna cover basic essentials like food and water for a month or two, maybe a little bit of your rent. So in the short term, do not rely on this stimulus package because it has not yet passed. And even if and when it does, it's still gonna take anywhere between 2 to 3 months to get your check in the mail. So in the short term, do not rely on the government. Now that you've hopefully put yourself on track to make a little bit of money while you have no job, this next part is really important. These are things you absolutely want to avoid. First, don't move your money from your bank account underneath your mattress. This is not gonna help you. The tooth fairy is not gonna magically appear and then hand out money to you. If anything, this is an extremely risky move because God forbid someone breaks into your house and steals your money, you're gonna have far more problems than you need to be worrying about. Instead, just keep your money in the bank because your money should be FDIC insured, and even if your bank goes under, which it absolutely shouldn't, but even if it does, your money will still be insured up to the legal amount of $250,000. And if you have your money sitting in a money market deposit account, then you'll be fine as well. Just don't confuse MMDA with MDMA, two very different things. One is illegal and the other one is fun. However, if you have your money in something called money market mutual funds, which sounds very similar to the other one, it's basically a fixed rate investment that pays you a percent for loaning out your money as short-term debt into high quality things like government treasuries. And if that's the case, your money will not be insured by the FDIC because it is considered an investment. And even though these types of investments are usually considered very high quality and very stable, you can still lose money, and you should still be very careful investing more of your money if you know that you'll need money in the next 3 to 6 months. Stock market gains have just vanished since President Trump took office, and all of my investments that I've held on to have completely lost all progress since he took office a few years ago. The other day, my dad texted me his 401k balance, and out of respect to his privacy, I'm not going to share what the number is, but his 401k has dropped significantly, and so has my mom's, which is really scary considering that they actually need that money, and they're really reliant on it when they retire in about 15 years from now. Just the other day, my dad texted me, "Should I sell my 401k?" To which I responded, "No, please do not sell any of your investments in your 401k. That would be a terrible, terrible idea." At the end of the day, the stock market can recover just as quickly as it fell, and perhaps we're seeing this is how the rich get richer, by recapturing all this wealth and buying all these great investment opportunities for cheap. If there's any one conspiracy theory that I would believe, it would be that one. To be clear, no, I don't think this was premeditated and done on purpose. I don't think I'm that crazy. But I do think that this is when smart money wakes up and realizes all these great investment opportunities in front of it. And what I don't want you to do is to be that sucker that sells your assets to the rich for cheap. But don't take my word for it, there's a real phrase for this, and it's called the kitchen sink effect in investing. And this is when a company will tell all of its bad news and release it all at once, rather than trickle-truthing it out to the public over a longer period of time. And doing it this way, the idea is that by attracting all the negative attention to itself, it will hopefully prevent further stock prices dropping in the future, and it'll just all come at once. In this way, when they report all the bad shenanigans of mishandled finances and missed earnings reports, they can hopefully price in the stock, it will drop, and that's precisely when all the insiders and all the rich executives will buy that company's stock at rock bottom prices, leaving you in the dust as they recover from their all-time lows. Now, I'm not saying this will happen, but I'm saying it can happen, and it has happened in the past. For example, just like it's important for you and I to have some extra cash in things like our emergency fund, right? It would be irresponsible otherwise. But maybe the same can be said about these corporations as well. They need extra cash on hand to pay for unforeseen circumstances like this. That way they can actually pay people like my parents instead of letting them go. But instead, what these companies have chosen to do is to make people like you and I, the investors, more rich. Hopefully, if you're watching my YouTube videos, by taking that excess cash and buying back their company's stock and artificially inflating their stock prices. And usually this is fine and all, and it's just business as usual on Wall Street, except when something like this happens and they're left with no cash, waiting for the government to come and bail them out to give them incentives and perks to continue to stay in business, because capitalism. Now, I'm not saying you should do anything about this. I'm not saying you should sell. I'm not saying you should wait on sidelines, but I do want you to be aware of this concept, as you're about to see this happen more and more as companies release negative news, dropping their stock prices even further. And it's at that point in time that especially becomes important to me, because I'll use this as my leading indicator to try to find a market bottom. And this is when a company will release negative news, but its stock price won't budge that much. It won't go lower. It's not 100% accurate to look at it from just this point of view. But if the stock market is not dropping substantially based upon more negative news, this is when we can say the market bottom is probably somewhere nearby. But you can also look at the YouTube comments to see if people are saying things like,
"This is about to get so much worse. I've sold all my stocks."
That's when you know we're probably approaching the market bottom. And if you're not invested at that point in time, you could miss out on a gigantic rally upwards forward, which will happen extremely quickly. And at number 3, another key metric to pay really close attention to is the unemployment rate. And if it continues to climb as a result of the shutdown and starts to affect more and more states and more people start to lose their jobs, then the stock market will not recover for quite some time, regardless of what the government tries to do with their monetary policy by dropping interest rates further, which they can no longer do, or pumping funny money into our system, which is only going to shake investor confidence and make the situation far worse. And this leads me to the ultimate point that I was trying to make, which is if you don't have enough money in the next 3 to 6 months to cover all of your expenses, like my parents, then stop investing and stop contributing to your retirement accounts. Unless maybe you contribute up to the employer match if you're still getting that, but nothing above that. Because the worst thing to do would be to find out that the market continues to slide further and all the money that you contributed would have been really useful to you now that you got laid off. Now, hopefully that doesn't happen, but at that point, it wouldn't even make sense to withdraw on your contributions if the value of your investment has significantly dropped. So hope for the best, plan for the worst, and do your homework because number 4 is really important. And number 4, avoid scams. Now, I'm pretty tech savvy, but I recently almost fell for a scam myself. I got an email that one of my videos was demonetized, and it was a really official looking email from either Google or YouTube, and I was on my phone, so I couldn't see the URL at the top, but it sounded really urgent and it looked a little bit suspicious, so I held off until I got home and looked at it on my desktop computer screen. And what I noticed was pretty incredible because at the top of the website where the URL is, one of the letters had a little tiny squiggly which looked a little bit off. And right away at that moment I knew it was a fake website, and this is called a phishing scam. Not literally like phishing I'm doing here in Russia, but a phishing scam online. It's extremely prevalent and some of them are getting very sophisticated. If it sounds urgent and if it's asking you for your login credentials up front, then you might want to reconsider. And anything you find that is suspicious, please report it to ic3.gov. And number 5, do not go to the emergency room if you have any symptoms of being ill. Unless your symptoms get really bad, you should stay home and self-isolate for the time being because there's a ton of people in the emergency rooms that do need to be there, and having more people that don't need to be there is not going to help anyone. And while you're staying at home and you're binge watching your Netflix shows and you're watching your favorite YouTube videos and smashing those like buttons like we do, don't pay attention to some of the comments that you see on YouTube about shorting the market or entering abstract investments. Just stay the course. I know it's difficult in times of desperation. We want to try to make money in these crazy markets, but at the end of the day, we need to be consistent and we will get through this. And as far as what you should be doing with your money, especially if you're experiencing tough times like my parents, the first thing would be to get together an emergency fund. And if you've been watching my videos for a while now, hopefully you have one. But if you don't, now's the time to build one. You need anywhere between 3 to 6 months worth of expenses that you can pay for, and if you don't have one, you can start building one by cutting out any and all unnecessary expenses like Spotify, Netflix, gym memberships that I've canceled, my Patreon. You can also do this by selling off any luxury items and goods that you have that you may not be using, like my roommate is doing with his Jordans. You can also do this with your girlfriend's Louis Vuitton shoes, or maybe your boyfriend's PS4 and Final Fantasy VII, but good luck doing it to mine because I'm a ninja and I will slice you with my credit card, so good luck. But you can also do this with Uber Eats, driving Uber, Postmates, TaskRabbit, my personal favorite, Airbnb. Please seriously consider all of these options and do not treat this like an extended vacation. Now's the time to buckle down and work as much as you can to get as much cash as you can. And while you're doing all that, analyze and keep track of every single dollar and where it's going, and then ask yourself this very important question. Can you pay for your bills in the next 2 months if you didn't have your job? Because the very worst could be right around the corner and you could get laid off just like my parents. And I don't want that to happen to you, but if it does, pick up your phone and start calling every company that you owe money to, because right now they're pretty much all having their own unique little relief programs that you can call and take advantage of. And especially in the case of your mortgage, if you can't find a program that you can take advantage of, then you need to call and ask for something called forbearance. This is when they'll ship you a Russian bear, at which point he will eat you and you and all of your problems will go away. You're welcome. No, I'm kidding. Please look into forbearance. It's actually super serious and very important. It would be really awesome if they sent you a Russian bear. Sign me up. I would not mind being eaten right now. Each state has their own different program. Each credit card, each bank has their own unique way of handling this situation. So if you do need help, call the little number on the back of your credit cards and ask for these programs. Each one is unique, so please call each one individually and do not assume that if you don't call, they're just gonna forgive you automatically just because of everything that's going on. It may take you a few hours, maybe even a few days, but it's worth it. Even though your debt is not gonna be forgiven forever, you're still gonna end up owing that money. The idea is to not have your debt go to collections and ruin your credit history. I would be very sad, and there's no reason to do that. And if you think you need to extend your forgiveness maybe a few months longer than the forbearance date, then you may wanna look into something called nfcc.org. I'm not sponsored by them, I'm not paid by them, but it's just something you may wanna look into. During times like this, it's especially important to hold on to your loved ones and just be human. And by that I mean don't trample over each other. Everything's gonna be all right. Stay inside, practice social distancing, Netflix and chill, and we will get through this. That's on a social and a moral level. But on a financial level, let's make decisions based on facts rather than on rumors and emotions. Continue practicing safe investments. Don't veer off course from your original strategy. Everything's gonna be all right. Avoid financial scams and all these crazy promises of investments. Just continue doing what you're doing. Continue paying your bills, and if you can't, just call in and ask. If you'd still like to start investing, you can open an account with Webull, fund it any dollar amount, get one free stock valued up to $1,400. You can open an account with Robinhood, get another free stock, and you don't even have to use my link, just go and get the free money. But having said that, it's been crazy out here. My parents are struggling so much. Corey's parents, Corey is, like, everyone is struggling. Everybody that I know. The only person that isn't is my roommate Angelo, and even that is not looking good. And I think that despite all this craze, we will get through this. We'll all get through this together. Everything's gonna be okay. Don't panic. Just like before, things will recover. It's gonna take some time. Don't panic. Don't buy up all the toilet paper. Love you, enjoy your day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. By the way, don't forget links in the description below this video with all the resources if you've been affected by this situation. I'm gonna go get my forbearance and get my Russian bear and go get eaten. It's gonna be fun.
No one's buying in.